Our next talk has been modified. So the Home Depot person is not attending, but we have Justin Collins, who is the principal and a senior leadership member from TheMathCompany. He has attended U of SC's medical school, so go Gamecocks. I was a professor there up until this past year. And he's a part-time DJ. How do you like that? He has really high energy. He's a very interesting person. I'd call him incredibly multidimensional. And he's going to talk to us today about monetizing data science, which is a topic that really all of us should be really concerned about. We've seen the statistics before, and we saw them earlier today, that only about overwhelmingly about 87% of data science projects don't get implemented in the right way. So the proportion of projects that do is not where we want it to be. So yeah, we should all be concerned about monetizing data science. His term is the biotech guy. So welcome, Justin.
Is this what I want today? How are you all today? So we've heard a lot of interesting talks about, from practitioners and, different ways that we've used data science to solve problems, okay? What I want to talk about today is how do we make sure that those actually make money? You that Amazon this last year made $31 billion without having to sell any physical thing. How'd they do that? Retail media. And how did they power that? With data science. And so what is retail media, right? We're going to use this as a way to talk about just one place where a lot of these data science advances are creating huge revenue, right? So what is retail media? It's how do we leverage, say, traffic or eyeballs or whatever you want to call it. How do we leverage that on a website, on a marketplace, and have brands and companies pay money to advertise there in our space, right? See, Amazon, for instance, they're not the only player in this realm. But what they've done is they've pushed the boundaries with data science, and that's why they're at the forefront. So how did we get to this point, right? At the very base level of all of this, traffic. We know that there are advertising companies, right? Facebook makes $1 gajillion in advertising, sure, right? And so do a lot of other companies, right? But then you take someone like Amazon or someone like Home Depot or Walmart. It's not the major part of their revenue, but it's a huge margin and it's a growing part of their revenue because they have traffic, they have eyeballs, they have people coming to their site and advertisers are like, I want that. And they have first-party data. If you have first-party data, you can leverage that then even off-site, not just on your site, but off-site on platforms like Google Search, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, etc. And that's more revenue for your company. So how does retail media network work? I'm not going to go into this too much detail here because we're all mostly we're data science practitioners. This is for background, right? You've got retail media, you've got a sales team with, say, a company, okay? And they work with a manufacturer or someone that wants to buy, advertising spots, right? Maybe they make a year-long plan and that has multiple campaigns, or maybe they do individual campaigns, right? That then goes and is executed. Those creatives are deployed either on their site or in off-site vehicles. And then there's performance reporting on how do those do. Give you one guess on how that reporting is generated and how that reporting is optimized and how that reporting is used. Data science. And then that feeds back into the level at the manufacturers or the ad partners. And what do they do with that? More data science. Think about Netflix. When they make a new video or a new show, do they just go find content creators and buy shows? Sure, sometimes. You know what else they do? They say, based on what we know about these people that have watched all of these shows, we need a show with this theme, with this kind of cast, with this kind of pacing. Hey, writers that we employ, go make that. And 10 million people are going to watch it tomorrow as soon as you finish it. We do the same thing with creatives, right? The creatives teams, when you do this, can then make targeted creatives that do better. That's just one example. And so there are phases in building up a retail media network like this, right? In the infant phase, you gotta know who's coming. You gotta know who is it that's on the site. What do we know about them? How do we match them up to maybe in-store sales? And then we have to say, what do we know about them now that we know who they are? What are the macro insights that we can come up with? Then we have incrementality measurement. This is what I was talking about. How are our ads doing right now? How could they be better? That involves test and learn frameworks, things that we've talked about here before. And then you get to connectivity and experimentation at scale, making things touchless so that these test and learn frameworks run these tests, pick the winners, and redeploy those ads. So there are a few, let's say, functions, right, of an evolved retail media network. Now, you all might be thinking, why do I care about that? I'm a data scientist here. I'm a practitioner. Because there's data science projects in each of these places. Media sales and partnership, this is one where the data science is powering the salespeople to say, look at the return I'm going to be able to give you on your investment dollar. Yield and pricing is, how do we optimally price this based on the eyeballs we're going to see? Guess how we know that? Time series forecasting. Media planning, we just talked about. How do we know what creatives to make? Customer insights, pretty self-explanatory. We've talked about lots of ways to look at what do we know about our customers. Platform and infrastructure. Data engineering, right? We all know that no data science project can actually be deployed at scale without the proper infrastructure. Product management. How do we build products internally for the sales team, the media sales partnerships, or products that power the actual advertisers to come do self-serve buying of creatives and space to put them. Ad operations, a lot of this falls under data engineering as well, right? It's how do we automate these systems to make sure that there's no human error? How do we make sure they run perfectly? And then performance reporting. We have to generate insights to be able to make better choices about media planning, about sales and partnerships, to sell more, to drive other customer insights. And so what are the most common challenges that we run into? This first one, customer behavior, we talked about already. Identity resolution. This is not a simple topic. There could be many, many talks about how do you match up e-commerce purchases to in-store purchases. How do you know who your people are? Loyalty programs help. There are a lot of other ways, right? Search, we've talked about search. The last talk was about search, different kinds of search algorithms, different ways to approach search. Display, right? This is targeted campaigns. If I say targeted campaigns, what do all of you all think of in this room probably? Personalization, recommender systems, right? Things that we've already talked about here. Measurement. We have to know what we're measuring and why so that we can then use those insights to optimize things. Audience activation. Remember when we talked about first-party data a few minutes ago? I don't just want to use every single person that I have information on to target. I want to target specific kinds of people that are likely to make certain purchases. Advertisers will pay more for more targeted groups. We call those audiences, generally speaking. How can I make some audiences that I know people care about? And how do I also create custom audiences on the fly? Because those tend to do better for individual use cases. And then experimentation. How do I create systems where I can implement, test, and learn, try out different creatives? The talk right before me talked about how when people add new things to the network, they can try it and say, let's show 1% of people this new type of search. Does it work better? If it does, then we use it. Same idea here. And so, let me give you kind of a concrete example, right? Because this is a very short talk. I don't want to use up too much of your all's time. But imagine if we could build a product that allowed us to, say, create customer insights or build audiences on the fly without having to have an analytics team sitting there, without having to say, hey, we want a custom audience, so data science team, go do this ad hoc request. As we've talked about here before, there are more difficult problems for the data scientists to solve. So why would we say, hey, go do these SQL pulls? We have better use for the time of the data scientists than that. So what I'm going to show you here is a quick 2-minute video, because it does a better demo than I can do up here, of a tool that we call Minerva that allows for this to happen. And it could be used for audience activation. It could be used for customer insight generation. So
VMware's API security and analytics platform. Project Trinidad is a solution to secure.
Sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulty here. Try this again. All right, this should work. Sorry about that. You all might have used
Conversations are the simplest ways to get and convey information. What if you could ask questions to your dashboard? What if you could dig deeper into some of your KPIs? What if you had an assistant 24/7 crunching these numbers for you? What if you could do all these instantly? Well, now all you will need to do is ask.
Project Trinidad, VMware's API.
Meet Minerva, a conversation AI add-on now available on Codex. That's just a click away. It makes decision-making easier for executives by enabling the crunching of numbers through voice. It enables your organization to boost productivity. At TheMathCompany, we strive to democratize AI. The conversation AI assistant on Codex takes us one step further in that journey. Let's look at an example of a revenue management use case, where a category manager is tracking the performance of their brands, or SKUs, across various dimensions. As you ask questions, we leverage state-of-the-art machine learning models to accurately translate your questions in natural language to a query that can be run on a database. In certain scenarios, where users enter ambiguous queries, the chatbot will give you options to choose from to verify your intent and help you arrive at an answer. Furthermore, you will be able to cycle through a curated list of auto-generated visualizations for your question. The chatbot will auto-complete questions based on keywords. Additionally, it will recommend questions based on the conversations that you and your peers have been having with it. Your conversations and analysis can be stored and retrieved for later use. It doesn't just stop there. You can export your analysis as a presentation, and you are good to go for your meetings, or you can choose to mail it to your peers to facilitate collaborations. Gone are the days when you need to wait around for your analyst to query and curate your data, publish dashboards, export it into PowerPoint, and socialize it with your peers. What are you waiting for? With Codex, you will be able to successfully wield the power of data anywhere and anytime.
And so what's the point, right? The point is, this is just an example of a way that we can use data science to drive revenue and to help decision makers make better decisions, and to make sure that the work that we do as practitioners actually gets consumed and translates to revenue. So this little circle here These are just some examples of analytical projects that make the difference between, say, $100 million in retail media revenue and $300 million, or all the way up to $31 billion. Looking at identity resolution, reporting, right? Product analysis, attribution, inventory yield, infrastructure, first-party insights, right? We've talked about all of these. But my point is that if you use data science appropriately, and you make sure that what we know, decision makers, marketers, that they can understand it, that is how you monetize data science. Thank you all for your time. We'll be in the booth just outside to the left if you have any questions. I don't know if we have time for questions here or not. I had one of the shorter time slots, but...
Very good. Thank you so much. So right outside these doors, you hang a left. On the left is the TheMathCompany booth. And stop by there, and I'm sure that Justin would love to talk to you some more.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you.